Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Hello. Glad to have you here. It's me, Blue Bacon, because of course it is. This is my channel. Now, for those of you who don't know me, I am a former criminal investigator. I worked for the United States Army. One of the things that I did as a criminal investigator was interrogations, meaning I asked potentially incriminating questions while a person was in police custody. I know how the game works, but it turns out the people that make movies, not so much. We reviewed 3 videos so far, and all of them have gotten pretty low marks, but we're looking at a 4th today. We're going to see how they do. As always, first we're going to assume that everybody's been read their Miranda rights, and we are going to ignore cinematography. I don't care if things were done to make the movie look cooler. This is about accuracy. Gosh darn it. Let's get into it.
Is that just say what's here?
Yeah, go ahead. Read what's on the paper.
We do have the agent or investigator or detective sitting in the right place. I do love that the table is not between them. The mirror looks great. However, the room is a little dark.
Go ahead. Read what's on the page.
Right there.
We didn't have brick walls, but we had cinder block walls, and I'm getting flashbacks to it. This feels really good. The lighting, not so much, but the room, really good. You know what? I might have an issue with this. I don't see where the door is. If it's behind the detective, perfect. If it's not, he's basically trapped in there. That's a huge problem. Might not be an issue, just something that caught my eye.
You weren't supposed to come out of the truck.
Come on.
You got him, but who got me?
Where's the door? Maybe it's next to the mirror. If it's on the detective's right, not our right, the detective's right, so our left. Still good, still really good, but the door is important, folks. It's important, I promise.
Hey, Dougie, how are you?
Oh. How you doing?
Nah, see, they got the table between them. Don't like that. Not necessarily technically wrong, just not how I recommend putting together an interrogation room.
I know your father.
Yeah, me too.
Got a few years left on his bid.
Yeah, I'm 1 or 2.
I hear they got to the old guy. Split him out the back.
All right, establishing a personal connection is great. This is a guy who came up with a plan/angle.
You know we lifted a print off the van, right?
Making up evidence for the purpose of interrogation is actually a real thing. It's something that I have done in the past. You do have to be careful because if you do it really wrong, it can be illegal. And B, if you do it just a little bit wrong, the person might realize that you actually have nothing and you're making it up. But what you're looking for is changes in body language. An innocent person is almost never going to be convinced that you are going to get a conviction based on this evidence because they'll know it doesn't exist. However, a guilty person, if you do this correctly, because there is a technique to it, you don't just say, "Wow, we have all this stuff." No. There is a technique. And if you do it correctly, you do it in such a way that a guilty person won't realize if it is a legitimate thing that you have or not. An innocent person will know that it can't exist. A guilty person might think, did I leave those footprints? Did I touch that doorknob? Etc., etc. It's a whole thing. It's a complicated thing, or it can be, but when done correctly, it can be very effective, and it certainly isn't likely to get a false confession from an innocent person.
Ollie. Douglas McRae.
Okay, yeah, placing a large case file on a table is absolutely a technique. You don't even need to open it up. Just be like, I'll refer to that later. Or don't even acknowledge it. Just, looks like you got a lot of stuff on this case. Ooh, so much evidence. Yeah, sometimes we stuff those cases to make them look a little more impressive. Now, that does not mean that a thin case does not have every single thing it needs. It's just that people look at a thick case and go, oh, yeah, there's probably something in there that has to do with me. Got it.
Just so we're both very, very clear. Because in these situations, sometimes, various parties will bandy about the possibility of sentence reduction for cooperation or otherwise assisting the prosecution. Not this time. You're here today so I can personally tell you that you are going to die in federal prison.
Yeah, not sure what the plan was with telling him he's going to die in federal prison. You generally want them to want to confess and saying that no matter what, because you committed this crime, you're gonna die, right? Why would they confess at that point if it's not gonna do anything for them? You might allude to a plea deal very carefully because you cannot promise a plea deal. You might say, look, this is a very serious thing. You could die in prison if you are found guilty. But if you cooperate with us, the prosecutor may be more inclined to pursue some sort of plea deal. You can't really get more specific than that. Well, if you're very careful, sure. But you got to be really careful.
FBI car antennas, a half-inch matte black, about 3/4 of the way down the rear windshield. Stadia, pigtailed, BPD, half and half. Every peewee in the town knows what an FBI rear antenna looks like.
That vehicle thing is kind of fun. For some of the departments I've worked with, yes, all of their undercover surveillance vehicles do look kind of the same. So once you know what one looks like, you kind of know what they all look like. So what some departments do, if they can, is they'll take vehicles that have been seized for a variety of reasons. Perhaps it was towed, and the person who had it towed couldn't pay the fee because they've been arrested for dealing tons of drugs. And this vehicle looks like something that someone who is dealing tons of drugs would drive. Yeah, you might use that because it's going to blend in to certain places that you might be doing surveillance. It's a whole thing. That's an entirely different topic, but fair point. Yeah, I've been in departments where that was a thing where you could identify which vehicle was a undercover police vehicle if you knew what you were looking for. Now, as far as realism goes, it wasn't bad. The rooms looked pretty good. The lighting wasn't great. Some of the interrogation stuff was good. Some of it wasn't. Is 7 too high? It's definitely at least a 6. I'm going to give 6 out of 10 donuts. It could have been higher if I had seen more. If I knew where that door was, if the lighting was just a little bit higher, if they didn't say that thing at the end with dying in jail or prison or whatever, it would definitely be higher. But I get picky near the top, right? Sort of, I'm grading on a curve, sort of. Not really. I'm making it up as I go, but we can pretend.